Senator Bernie Sanders is working on a set of policies designed to give workers more control over the corporations that they work for. First, a quote from Bernie Sanders about his philosophy going into these sorts of policies. He says, "We can move to an economy where workers feel that they're not just a cog in the machine, one where they have power over their jobs and can make decisions. Democracy isn't just the opportunity to vote. What democracy really means is having control over your life." And obviously for many people, their life a lot of the time is their job. And so he wants to give them more control over that. Sanders said his campaign is working on a plan to require large businesses to regularly contribute a portion of their stocks to a fund controlled by employees, which would pay out a regular dividend to the workers. Some models of this fund increase employees' ownership stake in the company, making the workers a powerful voting shareholder. So we don't know for sure that that is the model that they will go with, but even if they do not, it will provide a financial return and an incentive along the way for the workers who are actually contributing to the success of these companies.
Yeah. So we're now at the point where I think we've reached how far left I am. Okay, going further is going to go past me. Okay.
Oh, he's about to.
All right. Well, we're going to see about the second part of this, but this is a good proposal. We offer stocks such as it is to the employees here at the Young Turks, but we're trying, brother. We're trying.
It's closer to chicken stock than actual stocks, but
it is stock. So it's the right thing to do, and having the voters have an increased share of voice in a sense by being voting shareholders in the company is an interesting idea. Obviously, some on the left go further and say that the workers should run the companies entirely. I'm not there, nor will I ever be there. I don't know. We could certainly. It's an interesting idea, and all those things are worthy of discussion. But yeah, I don't agree with that. But that is not what Bernie Sanders is proposing. He's proposing a very simple thing of let's give them some stocks. Amazing fact. 97% of all the capital income in this country, meaning stocks and interest rates that people collect, et cetera, is owned just by the top 10%. The bottom 90% only own 3%. This would actually give them more stocks and a bigger stake in the companies, which I think can also help the companies. We'll talk more about that after the second proposal.
Yeah, and at the end of this discussion, we're gonna have a little bit of the science of what these sorts of policies end up doing for the companies, and spoiler alert, it's positive, but I don't think that you need a study to know that if you are getting a financial return on the success of the company, you are going to be more invested in making sure that the company does well, and you're probably gonna stick around longer, which is obviously financially beneficial for the corporation as well. Now moving to the second part of the plan, we'll see if Cenk is on board. Sanders also said he will introduce a plan to force corporations to give workers a share of the seats on their boards of directors. And so the actual board that is sort of setting the mission of the corporation, also obviously incredibly important in choosing the CEO, and we know that there tends to be an oddly incestuous relationship between CEOs and their boards. This would provide more direct representation for the workers in the most important decisions being made for the companies.
Yeah, so both proposals are for large companies. So I want people to understand that partly because of, we're a small company and it's a little bit different, but mainly because you guys might run small companies or folks that do it that are entrepreneurs. They're not gonna come in and say, okay, you've got a 4-person shop. I need you to put the cash register person, et cetera, on your board. A lot of people be like, what board, right? But there's small size companies, there's mid-sized companies. That doesn't apply here. This is for large companies. And this is not unprecedented. Germany does it. And Germany has a very stable economy, and partly because there's labor representation on the boards. So what does that do? It stabilizes the company because then you are not as worried about, hey, I gotta make my quarterly earnings so I can get a big bonus this year if I'm an executive. But if, hey, that winds up being too risky in the long run, who cares? Because as long as I made my bonus, that's what happens here in America. But in places like Germany where labor's on the board, they go, we care. We care. We want to make sure that the company is healthy in the long run. We care a lot less about your goddamn bonus than we do that this company is successful in the long term. So it provides the correct incentives rather than the wrong incentives. The reason why I wouldn't go further than this, in my opinion, one of the issues with just completely employee-run companies, which there aren't that many of here in America to begin with, and I might, and I will get experts on the show and talk it out, et cetera, is that, well then, of course, you're gonna wanna protect the current employees, and that makes sense, and we all wanna do that. I hope we do if you're running a company and you care about the people in the company. But that might not always be the best idea for the long-term health of the company, that perhaps the new employees can come in, et cetera. But a mixed model like this has clearly shown success throughout the world.
Yeah, and we don't yet have more details on Sanders' plan, although that is forthcoming. But what's interesting, the little wrinkle right now, is that Sanders is, in this election, not the only one with these sorts of ideas. And in fact, there is competition directly in this area. So Senator Elizabeth Warren, she's proposed a co-determination plan that would require US corporations worth more than $1 billion to let company employees select 40% of the company's board of directors. So a similar sort of idea, except with specifics. Now, 40% of a board is a large percentage of the board, but requiring it for only corporations with $1 billion or more in value means that it will not affect the vast majority of corporations, of course.
Yeah. So I think it helps them make more holistic decisions, and it's been borne out by the countries that have tried it. The executives don't want it at the larger companies because they think, well, then I got to care about my employees. Exactly.
Yeah. And so look, those are the two big ones that we're waiting for. But in this area, Sanders has already introduced a number of ideas, sort of, I would say, lend to, I think, his claim of being at least tied for, if not the best on workers' rights out of the 57 people who are running for president right now. Additionally, he has reintroduced in the Senate a series of measures to increase the percentage of the American workforce in employee-owned ownership models. Those policies include a $500 million bank to finance company transitions to worker cooperatives, new legal requirements that owners give their workers an opportunity to purchase firms that are closing, and federal funding to create centers in all 50 states that would encourage employee-owned businesses. Yep. So all of these designed to move us not to some sort of communist fantasy or whatever. God knows what Fox and friends are going to say about this tomorrow, but to make sure that the actual workers who are working for these corporations that are determining whether they are successes or failures will actually have some say in that.
Yeah, I love a couple of quotes from this article. It referring to the last thing that John just explained to you guys. They say in the Washington Post in particular, these ideas are not gaining traction in the Republican-controlled Senate. You think? Yeah, and then earlier they said, well, there is critiques of these Bernie Sanders ideas. I was like, okay, that's interesting, because I think that if it went too far and applied to mid-sized and smaller businesses, there could be legitimate critiques, as we just touched upon. No, the critiques are it discourages entrepreneurs from starting businesses and will lead investors to seek to put their money overseas. Okay, hilarious. Okay, I don't know any successful entrepreneur who's like, well, I was gonna start a business, but then they said you have to care about your employees once you get to $1 billion. Well, God damn it, I'm not starting it anymore. Preposterous, totally preposterous. And so, secondly, this is the threat that corporations do all the time. Oh yeah, we'll move our business overseas where they don't give a damn about employees, then you'll see, right? Well, I love how you claim to be patriotic. They're like, no, we're corporate America, right? Sounds like Captain America, right? You're not Americans, you're a machine. And you just threatened us. I don't know if you know that, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty clear. And second of all, where are you gonna go? You're gonna go to Germany? No, they have stricter laws. In almost all of Europe, they have stricter laws. And in a lot of Asia as well. So yes, you could find some countries where there's a race to the bottom, of course. But then you know what we could do? We're like, oh, okay, great. You wanna move to Vietnam? Okay, no problem. You're no longer an American company. You can't get any contracts with the federal government. Oh no, but I want American. I want a federal. No. You just said you're not American. Oh, you want to take advantage of tax loopholes in Ireland or in other places or the Cayman Islands? No problem. You're not an American company anymore. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, which one? Pick a lane, dude. Pick a lane. You don't want any more federal government contracts? No problem at all. Vietnam, here you go, right? And I don't mean to pick on Vietnam. There are many other countries that do that. But but you can't have your cake and eat it too. These are reasonable ideas that actually help because they stabilize companies and they help the American worker. Thanks for watching this free clip of the Young Turks. Don't forget to become a TYT member today. For more exclusive content, join now at tyt.com/join.